Man, I'll tell you this, when it comes to online shopping, it is so much like sex. You get a rush finding that excellent deal, you get really excited when you end up closing it, and then it is just an amazing feeling when you finally finish the transaction and you get whatever you were supposed to get, whether it was a good or service or something else. But also like sex, unless you know the person 100% and you fully trust them, you should always use protection and make sure you have that on hand when entering a transaction. And that's what happened to me. So hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and I'm going to be telling you all over this gameplay here about my most recent PayPal transaction that ended up going south. Now this isn't anything new. There's been multiple times I've paid for something, whether it be on eBay through PayPal or I've paid someone directly through PayPal, and the agreement ends up going south. Most of the time this would be I pay them, I don't receive my product, they end up breaking communication, so I file a dispute. But I wanted to tell you all about this just because this is my experience on here. It was a bit interesting, and also this is the most amount of money I have lost on here. So if you want the short version of this, I'll tell you right now so you can go ahead, get out of the way, and if you enjoy this, a like would be very much appreciated. Essentially, I was buying some development hardware. It was for $400. Paid a guy $400 after, a few months of going back and forth. What happened is he ended up closing his account, so I wasn't able to contact him. I had to file a dispute with PayPal, and if I did not do goods and services, if I paid him through friends and family, I would not have gotten that money back. But because I protected myself, I do have the money back, and that's why I felt safe going into that transaction. Now for the long form version of this story. This is a bit convoluted, and I'm going to tell you all about this. Now some people might be saying, man, Mario, $400? They might either be saying one or two things. Either, wow, that's a lot of money to really gamble with, or only 400, are you kidding me? And you know what, if you're one of those people, I completely understand, man. I fully understand 95% of the people on YouTube are probably balling out. They're probably self-made billionaires. I fully get that. I'm the peasant right here, man. I'm the peasant with my lowly $400. And at this point, I'll be straight up, I had nothing in my PayPal account. So you could say I was doing pretty damn well. So you know what, if I'm losing $400 or $10 on a transaction, you better believe I'm trying to get my money back. But on a serious note, it is about the principle of the transaction. If I pay you money expecting to get a good or service in return, I do want that good or service, and if I don't get it, I am going to dispute the charge. If I want to give my money to a charity, I will donate to a charity. If I want to take a risk on some money, I'm going to put it in stocks. But if I'm going to go through a transaction, and even if it's not on PayPal, if it's somewhere like, let's say, a donut shop or Walmart, if I pay them money and I don't get anything in return, there's a problem. So this happened a few months ago. This is on Twitter. I was looking up some development related stuff, and I end up seeing some tweets between this gentleman, who we're going to call Ryan, and another person that I know of. Now this other guy, I'm friends with him and we're cool and all that stuff, and he didn't know Ryan, but Ryan contacted him. He's like, hey, I'm trying to sell this system right here. Can you help me sell it? Do you have any advice on where I could sell it and such? And Ryan was talking back and forth with my friend. Now this was already like a month-old conversation. But just by chance, I said, you know what, I have nothing to lose at this point, aside from my money, but hey, we'll get into that. I end up messaging him, and I said, hey, are you still selling that? And he responded with a picture. He said, yes, I am. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, I actually am. If you would like to follow me, I'll follow you back, and let's take this in the DMs. So that's where it went down in the DMs. We started transacting through there. And then he started, showing me the system, showing me this other stuff, telling me the details of it all. And first off, here's the thing. Ryan was a nice guy, don't get me wrong, but he was real flaky with these things. Because I even told him, I said, hey man, I am ready to pay for this, and I think we agreed to the amount of $400. That's what he was asking, and for this system, it was an excellent deal. So that's why I wasn't really trying to change it. I was trying to be fair with that at least. So I asked him, I was like, hey, $400, is that fair? He said, you know what, maybe. It seems like a good number, but I might not be able to sell it. And I asked why not. He said, well, see, one of my friends gave it to me, and apparently the original owner is really mad that my friend gave this system to me. So now the original owner wants it back. So I might have to give it back to the original owner. If I do, Sorry, but if I don't, I'll sell it to you. And at this point, I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, you know, like you seemed really interested in selling it and now you're giving me this excuse, but whatever. I was cool about it. I'm like, okay, you know what, fine. I'm not really losing out on anything right now. So I let him know. I said, hey, you know what, I'm still interested, but just update me. So later on that day, he messages me and he's like, hey, dude, are you still wanting to buy the system? And I said, yeah, sure, I'm willing to do it. And he essentially said, the original owner, I don't care about him. I don't know what the hell this guy's doing. I really don't care. It's my system. I can do whatever the hell I want to with it, and I'm choosing to sell it. So how about we do this over PayPal, $400? I said, yes, perfect. Let's do it over goods and services. And then all of a sudden, Ryan kind of retracted. He's like, oh man, no. I was kind of hoping that you would do it over friends and family. And I said, sorry, man, this is a big ticket item. I'm not comfortable doing that. I want to do this over goods and services. And he's like, okay, I understand. And I said, yeah, can you do it over that way? And he said, no, I want it over friends and family because I've never had an issue with that. And honestly, I'm kind of impatient. Now, here's where a lesson in PayPal comes in. If you have a new PayPal account, your money gets held in escrow for a while. If you haven't used your PayPal all that much, or if you have a new PayPal account, they will hold onto your money for an allocated amount of time and then release it to you. They will normally hold it for at most 3 weeks, and that is what Ryan said. And I said, you know, they'll release it to you. And he said, no, man, they're going to hold it for like 21 days. So I looked up, you know, the stuff on PayPal's website, and I linked it back to him, and I said, yeah, they'll hold it for at most 21 days, but what you can do is when you send this to me, you send it with a tracking number, you submit the tracking number on the transaction, and then when it shows that it is confirmed, your money will get released a lot sooner. I'm not in the business to scam you, but I just need some protection on this item. And he's like, yeah, man, I understand. He got back to me later. He said, you know what? I decided I'm going to keep the system for now. I'm like, okay, well, cool, I guess. A few months later, he ends up contacting me again, and he just asked, hey, are you still wanting the system? And I asked him, are you selling? And he said, yes, I am. I don't need it at this point. I know you wanted it before. So if you still want it, if you're still interested, I'll sell it to you. I don't mind. And I said, you know what? Sure. Okay. At this point, I was kind of a bit tired of Ryan kind of giving me the back and forth runaround because he had done this a few times. He's kind of flip-flopped here and there. And also the thing is, Ryan was the type of person where he would either respond to you immediately or within 5 minutes or like 3 days later. So his communication was never consistent was the problem. But what ended up happening was we were talking and he said, yeah, you know what, I'll sell it to you. We could do it over PayPal. Here's my PayPal address. It's all good now. I know how PayPal works. And I'm like, okay, cool. We talked a little bit about just some other stuff. Again, he was a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. But the agreement was going to be for the system and a power supply. And that was going to be it. He was going to pack it up, send it my way, all that fun stuff. And I asked, can we do it $400 good and services? He said, yes, absolutely, good to go. Here is my email address. Go ahead, send it over. So I went into PayPal. I sent him the money. I hit him up on Twitter. I said, hey, please confirm you got the money. He said, I got the money. And I said, great, we are in business. How soon can you send out the system? He said, well, you know, the day is still pretty early, so I could probably send out later today. I said, all right, cool. So what ends up happening was this was on the 24th of February. That was on a Friday. A few days later, I end up DMing him and I asked, hey dude, got any update on the system? Radio silence. This is when I put the dispute into play. It was over a week later. So it was on a Sunday night. I decided to open up my Twitter, go over to my DMs, and I try and send him a message. And I was going to ask something like, hey man, it's been over a week. Do you have some news for me? I sent him that message and I got an error on my screen that said, cannot send message, or, you know, message could not be sent. And I'm like, what the, this dude did not block me. So I decide to check out his account and it tries to load the account and then it bounces me back to DMs and it says user not found. And I'm like, okay, did this dude block me? I go over to my desktop, open up Twitter, and first I go to my account, and I notice that I can't even find his DMs on there. And then I ended up opening up a incognito window, which directly to his Twitter account, can't find his Twitter account. So that shows me that he has shut down his Twitter account. He didn't block me, he ended up shutting it down. He could have done both, but point is, his Twitter account just does not exist. You can't find it at this point. I was also able to confirm this because in the time, like shortly after he shut down his Twitter account, you can still still go to Google, you could look up the account name, you could find, cached tweets and all that stuff. And through all that stuff, his account, instead of being a clickable link, it was just text right there. And then any conversations he was in, his tweets were removed. Again, this was on a incognito version. There was no account logged in. So that shows me his Twitter account was shut down. And from what I saw, he really didn't use his Twitter account publicly all that much. So it didn't really matter to him to exit scam and shut down his Twitter account. At this point, I went to PayPal. I immediately opened up a case. And this is what happens when you have to open up a case. You open up a case, it opens up some communication between you and the seller. And then you have a few days to, kind of get it all sorted back and forth. Now, I pretty much just sent a message and you're sending it directly to him, but I kind of just made it all over so PayPal could see it and he could see it if he ends up reading it. But I essentially said, hey, we agreed to this. It wasn't sent out. He blanked me. We were communicating on Twitter. The Twitter account is shut down. We can no longer communicate. I have not gotten any type of updated tracking on here. So what's going to happen at this point now is if he does not respond, which I'm pretty confident nothing's going to happen, then I can escalate it to PayPal. PayPal at that point should give me the money back. And guys, seriously, hold on. Like, while I'm in the middle of recording this, just listen to this. I'm going to swing my mic around. It's honestly not rocks that are hitting my window, it's hail. In the middle of this commentary, I started doing a hailstorm, but instead of being smart and stopping this, I feel like continuing because I'm on a roll right now with this story. So if you are hearing this now at this point, that means that I do have the money back, I'm good to go, the transaction has, gone unsuccessfully, but my case was successful in getting escalated. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And then I kind of want to explain the process on this and everything. So first of all, the major thing right here, I mean, it was a red flag, don't get me wrong, that he was wanting to do friends and family for a big ticket item. Now, this isn't my first time I've done a internet transaction. I've been around the block several times, some very reliable sites, some kind of shady sites, and when it comes to something like this, if you are going through a transaction, especially for a big ticket transaction like this, and you don't know the person, always insist on that protection of some kind, whether it be through PayPal or another merchant that you are using. And a big tip right here, a lot of people ask for Venmo. Don't do Venmo. Venmo is supposed to be to pay back friends and family for things, not to pay for transactions. And if they find out you are paying for transactions, guess what? They might shut down your account and you're out of money. So if you're using transactions and doing all that stuff and you're actually buying things, do it over PayPal, not Venmo, even though they're both, sister sites. Now again, the number one red flag was that he wanted to use friends and family, and I said no to that, and I was very consistent. And I'll admit, I almost caved a few times because this was a very good deal. It was something that was pretty cool, and I was getting kind of emotional. But then I thought of several times I've seen posts on Assembler Games and other places saying this person scammed me out of this device, and they scammed me for a lot more money. And on top of that, there's also been so many times that I have had to dispute $10 or $15 transactions, and I had to sit back and think, if I am disputing $10 or $15 transactions, why the hell am I going to try and chance $400 on this? It doesn't make sense, so therefore I held out on it, even if I had to wait for the deal. Now another thing, maybe it was too good to be true. In this case it was, and some people will say if a deal is too good to be true, then it doesn't exist. And I will retort to that where sometimes that is true, but there's other times you might just get a deal that's too good to be true, and that is why I want to chance this right here. As long as I had protection on the transaction, that is how I felt safe with it. The other major red flag in this case that I did not talk to you all about before was when Ryan was telling me, oh yeah, I don't want to do it over PayPal if it's not friends and family. I even offered, I said, I will pay for the hardware plus shipping, plus I will cover the PayPal fees. In case you don't know, if you do goods and services, the seller ends up getting charged a 3% fee that is, taken out of the money that they are obtained. And he did not respond to that inquiry. So at that point, if I'm offering to cover everything for him and he's still not taking it, that's another big red flag right there. Again, I went through with it though because I knew that I had that protection on my side. And finally, the third red flag, since bad news comes in threes and all that other fun stuff that people are going to say, normally, to wait to escalate a case or dispute it or anything, I'm a generous dude. I'm going to wait. If I've tried to contact the seller, I'm not getting anything, all that fun stuff, I wait 30 days. If after 30 days I haven't had any contact, despite trying to contact them multiple times, I haven't gotten any update, I haven't gotten anything else, I'm going to then escalate the case at that point. And if that doesn't get the seller's attention, then they're just trying to scam me. However, you should escalate it if something like this happens. When the main method of communication with Ryan was taken away, when he shut down his account and he was not responding to me, that was the third red flag that is like, okay, I'm not giving this guy another almost 3 weeks. I'm going to file the dispute now. And some people might even be saying, oh man, 30 days, you're stupid for doing that. That's too long. Well, sometimes transactions can take a while. On top of that, I swear I'm not plugging PayPal. It's just this is what I use primarily. PayPal gives you that protection for 180 days. So if it's 30 days in of the 180-day period, you're still good to go. So is this to dissuade you from doing these transactions? Absolutely not. I've had great transactions over message boards, over Reddit, over, Twitter. I've even done, some social media transactions as well too. Other places as well, of course, eBay, Amazon, all that fun stuff. And I've also had my fair share of bad dealings as well too. If it is a reputable seller, when you contact them, they'll work with you, they'll get your money back, they'll come to a compromise, they'll try and send out another item. However, if it is someone like this, they're not responding, maybe their account got hacked, or maybe they're just being a scammer, they're being fraudulent, whatever it is, don't be afraid to escalate it, dude. That is your money right there, and get that money back. So this is kind of wrapping up the end of this long commentary during this storm that I'm still recording with. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all enjoyed listening to my misfortune of missing out on this money. Now, thankfully, the money was just missing for a bit, but it came back. If you're listening to this, I've successfully obtained the money again, so I'm out of nothing out of pocket. And what I got to do is I got to spend some time, honestly, it was just a bit of a waste of time. I kind of wasted some time doing this transaction, wasted time, getting the money back, although that's not really a waste since I, got my money back on there. And I also got to spend some time, not waste, I got to spend some time making this commentary for you all, and hopefully you all are enjoying it. So if you enjoyed it, a like would very much be appreciated. If you disliked it, a dislike is fine as well too. If you want to tell me about some scammy, shady transactions that you've had to deal with, and maybe if you've just completely lost out on money or anything else, let me know down below in the comment section, because I would love to read some of your stories. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.